Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. Tuesday, July the 10th, the year 2018. Let's talk trading. Trading like it is your job. I was talking to a trading buddy of mine yesterday. In fact, the same trading buddy that told me about his method. If you remember, I think it was last week or was it the week before? I had taken a trade based on something he told me just to see, and I wound up scratching the trade, and had I left it alone for a day, would have made a ton of money. But and I said, I did everything wrong. Everything wrong. Because I broke all my rules. Rule number one is don't listen to other people and take their trades. That's their trades, not my trade. And so I was thinking about that some more because I was talking to him again yesterday. And since then, he's on to his either second or third different idea. And I said, a couple ideas ago paid off pretty well. Why don't you just stick with it? He goes, well, that's just not me. It's not my nature, not my personality. So I was pondering that for most of the day yesterday. And I then read something uh, in one of the trading blogs or blurbs or newsletters, whatever you want to call it, that I get. And they said they talked about learning from the ocean. And that triggered a memory back when my good buddy, I think is my good buddy Mihal, and I were in Mexico, and they're out at the one of my timeshares and looking at the waves. And it gave me an idea. So I was anxious to see what this guy had to say about the ocean. And he was talking about a dive and how he was in this place that was really familiar. The water was usually gentle, and he had confidence that it would be safe. Well, lo and behold, this day, um, there's a riptide. And if you know anything about swimming and the ocean, riptides will just suck you on out. So, long story short, he did what he knew best, which was he went down low to get out of that fast current and, crawl back, crawl along the bottom, swim along the bottom, and then pop up, near the shoreline. He got out of it alive. And he's like, well, what's that got to do with trading? Well, he says, you know, if price is going up, don't try and swim against the current because you'll just tire yourself out. You're swimming and you'll just lose your money. And he says, it's real simple. All you got to do is place a line across the highs and a line across the lows, and it tells you what the trend is. And well, you guys all know how I feel about trend. And if you don't, trend only exists in the mind of the trader. But I just got to thinking, you know, let me just do something and see if it makes any sense. So I modified an indicator. This is a scratch indicator here. And so it's like, okay, let's just take the last two bars and see what's happening. So it's like, well, geez, it looks like the trend's going up here, but you see prices going down. That's on the 1 minute. On the 5 minute, hey, it's going down. On the 15, it was going up, but price broke out the other way, out the other side. So you can see it, that says it's going down. Here, another breakout to the downside. On the H1, you can see it's trending up here. And on H4, you can see it's trending up. And on a daily, it's just expanding here, right? And on the weekly, once again, it looks like things are trending up. And on the monthly, things were contracting and you got a breakout. So, what's any of that mean? Is it, as a guy asked me before, why do you even bother plotting those lines? Well, in this case, he probably picks a time frame if he's a day trader, maybe he's in the 15 minute, or maybe he's all the way down to the 5. If he's thinking maybe longer term, maybe he wants to go with the H1. But all of that's irrelevant. And it's irrelevant because you see, he's doing something that's relative to him. He's picking, doesn't matter what time frame, but he's saying this is how I trade. And so back to the main point, trading like it's your job. If you have a job, you basically have a job description. And chances are that job description doesn't include you monkeying with things. It includes you performing certain tasks at certain times in a certain way. So, if you can show up to a construction site and, you're building walls, they're not looking for you to invent a new way to build a wall. They just want you to build a wall. And they want you to build so many walls in a particular way. And so you learn how they do it, and then you just do it. Well, you see, if you trade like it's your job, then you have a certain way of doing it, and that's what you do every day. When you're on the job, you do the job. Now, when you're on your own time, if you want to tinker with how to build a better wall, you go for it. But when you're on the job, you're focused and you do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And if you do that, you'll be productive. So in trading, see, people might think, well, the job's to make money. Well, no. The job is to do and execute your plan flawlessly and do it repeatedly each and every time. I mean, you don't build 3 good walls and then build a crappy wall, because then when you put the roof on, it's going to fall down. That's just not the way it works. Okay? So in trading, it's the same thing. You don't do a couple of good trades and then do a crappy trade. And what I mean by crappy trade, I'm not saying a trade that loses money. What I'm saying is a trade that doesn't follow your plan, your method, your system. You have certain tools. You don't show up to the construction site with a different hammer every day, or a different level, or different, especially you don't show up with a different measuring tape, because each measuring tape, you keep that tape for the job, because one tape might vary just slightly from another tape, and so that's why you use a tape for the job. In fact, some jobs they buy a brand new tape each job because the other tape might be worn out. So my point is that you need to treat trading like a job. When you're trading, you do your job. You don't sit there and make 5 different experiments. Each day, every day of the week, you're doing something different. That's not treating trading like a job. Okay? It's just not. There's just no arguing. It's that simple. Now, maybe this is going to ruffle a few feathers or rub somebody the wrong way, but let's just face facts. There's people out there, traders, who have bigger, faster computers. They got a lot more money, and they even hire people with PhDs and things like that. So chances of, me, you stumbling on something that's going to set the trading world on fire, that's a rare occurrence. It really is. I mean, yeah, I've got a few of my systems that, work well repeatedly on a daily basis, like, the wick zone and the rat zone and the buy zone, statistically proven systems. And, if you go back, trace back to my online trading, and you'll see I haven't really varied too much from those systems once I developed my own. When I first started out in stocks, I was all over the place. Bollinger Bands, RSI, you name it, I tried it. MACD, stochastics, Each one promised, these untold profits, linear regression, all this higher math. And then, I chucked it all. It's like, price goes up and down. So if we start at the open, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down. And if it goes, if it moves away from the open X, chances it's going to move away Y. So it has to get to X before I put the trade on, and then it's going to move Y. So like with the buy zone, it has to get to about 8 pips. That's pretty much good across all the pairs. Some might be 6, some might be 7, but usually if you stick to 8 to 10, you're going to be okay. Because what you want to weed out is the times it goes 5 and that's it. You might say, well, don't you want to weed out the times it goes 8 and that's it? Yeah, you kind of do, but then you're going to miss out, because usually we found out if it moves 7 pips in one direction, it's going to keep going. It just does. And you can just, plot some horizontal lines and you can see, yeah, wow, it moved 7 pips, it kept going. That's why we jump in around 8 to 10. That's the buffer zone. So, that's just the point of this video. I'm not going to be showing you all the other charts like I normally do, because you really have to focus. I don't care if you're using one of my systems or indicators or not. That's not the point of this. The point is you need to treat trading like it's your job. You show up to work with your tools, and those are the tools you use. You don't in the middle of a cut go out there and try some different saw. That's not the way you do it. It's just not. Yeah, I know I'm using a lot of building metaphors. Out on the ranch, it's, we got good weather. It's time to start building things. I need to do a few updates of the ranch and things like that. But I added on to the Party Shack for those who've seen the Party Shack videos. Anyway, the point is that with trade, you don't show up and plop a new indicator on your chart every day. I mean, I know it's so tempting. I mean, my inbox is filled every day with these indicators that promise, all these untold riches. It's just too funny. This indicator, that indicator, this method, that method. You just have to just look at it, laugh at it, and just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, use that hammer, use that saw, learn how to use it properly so you don't do damage. You don't smash something or cut something that's not supposed to be cut, like body parts. And usually when those body parts get cut, why? It's because you're not paying attention. See, same thing with trading. You have to give it your full attention, your focus on what you do. So, I mean, looking here, see, this guy says price is moving up. Well, it was outside this line here, but what happened? It's moving up. Maybe he's on to something. Maybe he draws his trend lines a little bit different. But I was just thinking, well, just take the last 2 bars and see what happens. Maybe you could take I think most people would probably draw a trend line from here to here, and they'd probably draw a trend line maybe from here to here, or maybe along there, or something like that. But I just, like I said, through this indicator, I just had a little idea about what he was saying to see if it made any sense, because I like the ocean analogy. So, fellow traders, as I said many, many times, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. Now, treat trading like a job and go out there and drain the banks.